Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Price of Fame. This is season 2, episode 15. My name is Lunga Tshuka, and I'll be your host. Tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, is a SAMA Award nominee, singer-songwriter, and has a Bachelor of Music Honours degree in vocal performance. And she also has experience as a music director, as well as a production coordinator, and worked on projects such as the SA Music Awards, the 2014 Presidential Inauguration, as well as the Metro FM Awards. And that's just a few to mention, ladies and gents. And I'm sure a lot of you probably recognize her from the first season of The Voice South Africa. But tonight, we get to meet the woman behind the music. So ladies and gents, without further ado, please welcome to the screen, Thapelo Lekoane. Thapelo in the house. Good evening.
Yay, good evening. Good evening. How are you?
How are you, ma'am? I'm very well, thank you so much. And like I said before, thank you for being a guest on The Price of Fame. It's truly an honor to have you on tonight's show, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you.
I'm excited for tonight. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome stuff. So first things first, let's jump into it. I mean, with the whole music career and everything like that, can you take us to the very beginning, a very young Thapelo? When did you start with the music, and how, and like take us through the journey from the beginning, where you were, what inspired you, and up until where you are now today?
Sure. So this is a story that I think a few will know already, but so I started at the age of 8, or at least that's as young as I can remember. And my mom used to run a home cell for kids in our neighborhood in Alex, where she would get all the kids to come together. We would worship together, and she would get me to sing while she plays the keyboard. And that's where it started for me. From then on, I just wanted to be like singing everywhere. So my parents plugged me into the church choir. And from then on, I just kind of decided to pursue the music thing because I was already passionate about it.
Yes.
So then after school was, I became a part of I took 2 gap years. I became a part of a performing arts missionary group. So we do shows in different towns every week. And after that, I decided to go into university, study music. And then I went into music production, working for a company called Thatch Music for a couple of years. This is where I grew as a music director and as a music production coordinator. And then after that, I decided to go to The Voice. The first season happened. And after that, I decided to just do a bit of freelancing and just continue as an artist, just singing and performing wherever I could. And then I became a music director for Rhema Bible Church in Randburg for about 3 years. And now here I am.
Yeah.
My project. And yeah, that's my story.
Yeah. And like, at what point in your journey did you realize where you had to actually take a step back and look at it, be like, hey, okay, I'm quite a bit of a big deal now. It needs to sink in. And because things are different now, the people are noticing me now. I have to start to move a little different now, the success is starting to creep in. At what stage in your life did you start to experience that shift in your career?
I think I could honestly say that I'm starting to experience that shift now in my career. Because even though as a music director and production coordinator, I was working with a lot of artists who are already famous and amazing. It was more in the background,
Yeah.
and even working for a church like Rema, which is quite a big church. Somehow it's easy to get, because it's service and you're working with a lot of people, that's not even your focus. You don't even realize that people recognize you if they do.
Yeah.
But it's only now that I've kind of decided to take a different path for myself that I'm starting to see that, yes, even people start to treat me differently. Now I need to at least put on a little bit of makeup when I go outside. Um,
Yeah.
just so that I look presentable. Whereas in the past, I used to kind of get away with stuff. I'd be like, people, I mean, nobody
Yeah.
knows me, it's fine. Now, even my mom would say, listen, just a little bit of input, please. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I could say, yeah, it's more in the recent time that I've noticed that, there's been a shift and that I need to also move with that shift as well.
Hmm.
Right,
Have you?
because mhm.
Yeah. Sorry. No, you can finish.
Because there are more eyes on you, naturally, then how you carry yourself it's not always the same as you would carry yourself inside your house, slip
Yeah.
socks and
Yeah. Yeah. Was
it's a
that in the
different.
back?
Right, so yeah.
It's
That's it.
crazy. Have you ever had any kind of like overwhelming fan love experiences where people are like maybe grabbing you or want to take photos with you and you're just not in the mood right now, or they just caught you off guard? Have you ever had any of those moments?
Well, I've had three okay, I could say two were pleasant and one was really okay. Let me say two were off guard and one was pleasant. One
Okay.
was I'll start with the pleasant one. The pleasant one was I was walking in the mall and this little girl, this little beautiful white little girl. I was walking towards the bathrooms in the mall and she stopped her mom and she was like, "Can I just take a photo with her?" And I was
Yeah.
actually quite surprised. I was like, I did not expect that, a young girl would recognize me. Also, I mean, I think, you don't realize how your music affects people of different ages and how people actually recognize you from
Yeah.
different places and stuff you've done. And so that was quite interesting for me. I didn't expect it at all. She must have been like about 6 or 7 years old. Um, and then the other two were after I got the nominations for the Summers. I was just moving around like my normal self. But then, it was actually with two friends, a colleague and a friend. And they were just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, let's take a photo." I was like, "Oh my goodness, I feel like you should have warned me."
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? Just so that because now you don't know where the pictures are going to end up, it's out of your control. But anyway, I was just like, okay, it's fine.
Hey,
So
that's the
yeah,
price of fame, man. That's the price of fame. We just got to deal with these things.
yeah.
Got to
I
deal with
think
some things. And you said you started obviously singing at a very young age at the age of 8, and you've obviously sang in the house. And I was actually when you were in the technical check, I was actually enjoying your melodies, how you were walking around and just. And I'm thinking to myself, like, she probably does that all the time at home. And just like my partner, she, without you even knowing. So, like, clear, I'm gonna assume that your parents has always been like supportive because like you said, you started with a church. You started kind of like in the good light. And I know with artists, it's not always easy, especially when they start young with their craft. It's not always easy in the household. With them looking forward because our parents always there's a huge part of our life where they try to steer us in the way which they think is best. And sometimes our arts and our dreams are not in their vision as well. So it's always that fight, before you want to fight for your art before you can be something. Have you ever experienced any kind of moments where you had to kind of fight for singing, where you felt like you were kind of like being pushed in a different direction? Or did you have any kind of challenges like that in the community or something like that?
I could honestly say that my parents, if anything, they wanted to push me more in the performing side or the singing side because they saw the gift in me when I was really young. I think also because my parents are also musical in their own right. They I would like to say that they steered me in that direction because they knew that it would probably bring out the best in me. They've always believed in kind of going in the direction of your dreams, and you will have to figure it out for yourself. Like, as soon as you're there, make it work. I could say that the difficulty though may have been in the community that I was in,
Mhm.
and that, I mean, living in the township, and anyone will tell you, right? um, for people who've never lived in the township, like, resources aren't a lot. You make do with what you have, and
Yeah.
places where you can meet up with other people to do what it is that you love. I think, at least at the age that I was at when I figured that I really want to do music, there weren't that many places that I think my parents probably could take me to, that they felt was safe enough for me um, to grow in. It's not that those places aren't there, but it's also, you have to consider the safety, your child, who are they around? Is it going to be good for them, and so forth? And I think that that kind of created some limitations for me. And I think also, generally in the community, when your parents feel a certain way about your career, but like people in the community don't necessarily think that the performing arts are something that you can pursue,
Yeah.
then they also don't, they probably think like it's something that's just passing, it's a phase. One day she'll find herself working in an office somewhere, doing what everybody else is doing, or they'll become another struggling artist,
Yeah. Yeah. That's,
right?
that's tough, eh? Yeah.
It is, and the truth is, it is a challenge, especially when you're coming up. It is a challenge because a lot of the things for myself, I'm an independent artist, in this season of my life, and I have to do a whole lot of things myself. I've been I've been blessed in that I have received a bit of help from other musicians and people in my space, in my circle, who have really carried me and helped me to get this far. So I'm not disregarding that or invalidating their contribution to my life. But I can honestly say it is a challenge because they're not there 24/7.
Yeah.
Um, and and also, the vision that I have for my career is one that I have for my career. It's not one that is carried by someone else. And so I always have to be vetting, who am I working with? Is this a healthy relationship? And that can also be exhausting. It
Mm-hmm.
can be tiring, but it is what comes with, it's a responsibility that one has, when they want to pursue a
Yeah.
career like what I am.
And like you mentioned that obviously we're growing up in the township, where there's a lack of resources, and lack of support in so many different areas for people, for kids to excel, whether it be sport or singing or whatever, that they are really good at sometimes. So clearly for you to just complete your studies and just to like make a career out of your singing must have been a really tough journey, and I'm sure you made a lot of sacrifices and you had to probably do some extra investing, like for example you needed to maybe work two jobs or do that kind of thing. So what are some of the sacrifices that you feel that in your career, especially maybe in the times of studying or in a difficult time where you felt like you needed to maybe sacrifice friends or relationships or anything like that to focus on your journey? Could you share some of those sacrifices with us?
So, some of the stuff that I got up to doing was, I used to work for my sister worked for this property company, and I would go in and I would clean for them to make an extra buck. you know.
Yeah.
And that was during my studies. And I would also, on Thursday nights, I had a resident gig at a hotel that I would perform at. And that would give me money to be able to get to school, to be able to afford certain things that I wanted to buy for myself that I couldn't ask my parents to cover, because already varsity is quite expensive. So there are certain things that I didn't even mention to my parents that I needed to get. I would just get them myself because I was trying to, cover costs, do this and this. Um,
Sorry.
no worries. um, and 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 so those are the things that I knew for myself that I wanted to do, and not only because I wanted to get the money, but I felt like there was a skill that I would be getting, or a sense of a kind of a discipline that I was getting for myself,
Yes.
um, being independent, or at least trying to be independent, or trying to instill that within myself so that when I do leave school, when you leave varsity, there isn't a building that's waiting to
Yeah.
receive your application as a musician. You know what I mean? You have to get in there, speak to people, get to know people, network, and so forth. And that was what was playing in my mind the whole time. I was like, okay, I need to start doing something, because I don't know what's going to happen after varsity, you
Yeah.
know. And the other thing is that at least at the time, we didn't have as many performance venues. If you think about Cape Town, like, the performance life is buzzing there,
Yeah.
compared to what it is in Joburg, you can literally count the places that people can perform at, and consistently so, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I find that here in Joburg, there's more of a, like, if you're in the gospel circuit, perhaps you're doing a lot more than some of the, the secular performing artists, or at least like the upcoming people, So it's that kind of a thing. It's like I just became so aware of the challenges that are in the area, and I wanted to prepare myself as much as I can, so that when I do get out there, I can at least, step into something,
Yeah.
or be able to stand on my own. Yeah, right.
And I'm sure, like with some of maybe your childhood peers, or with some of your peers that you've known for a very long time, that doesn't really see the investment that you put into your career, but they maybe see the highlights, and sometimes that can make people jealous, jealous of what you got. So have you experienced any jealousy among your peers or among people for the achievements that you've got, and you're thinking to yourself, if only he knew what I've put in to get what I've got out. Have you experienced any jealousy among people like that?
I would honestly say not from people who are from where I come from, or at least if they are from where I come from, I don't know that they were. So they might have hit it really well.
Yeah.
Um, I think the challenge is in the peers within the industry
Mm.
now. And I wouldn't say that there is jealousy, because I don't want to kind of accuse people of something that that I don't even know exists. But I can honestly say that the in the industry, people aren't as open about information. People aren't as open to share what's going on in terms of, the business side of things, or, this person, don't work with them because of this and that. You might have challenges when you get here. This is the process that I went through, and therefore, maybe just watch out for these things. There are people that I've spoken to who have been open, and there are people who have been kind of, short, and not very open about helping me get to where I need to be. And the sad thing is that we're all on different journeys, you know,
Yes.
we're all on different journeys, and therefore there's no need to close doors for one another, because how I sound is not like how you sound. The music
Yeah.
I produce It's not like, so definitely our journeys are not going to lead us to, they won't necessarily lead us to the same platforms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They won't necessarily open the same doors. But if we worked hard enough and followed the kind of advice that each of us needs to get, like the foundational advice, the foundational things that get us through the processes of getting where
Yeah.
we need to get to, then I think any of us can be successful at what we do. You know,
Absolutely.
I've
Yeah.
always believed that there is room for everyone. Your
Yes.
gift
Yes.
is unique, my gift is unique, and there will always be room at the table for each and every one of us to have our dinner, I'm making a metaphor here, but yeah, like each of us has something different to contribute. And I think by
Mhm.
helping each other, we get there faster.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. I was just about to actually say that there's enough piece of for the pie for everyone, and people have
Right,
this. And I've experienced it too across different industries, whether it be dance or comedy or whatever. Some people just love holding information or opportunities to maybe a certain small clique or just to themselves because they
right,
feel like you might steal their clients or you might steal their work or anything like that. And where there's room for everyone, actually, there is like there's a space for you as well. And
right.
have you ever like experienced like some kind of mentorship throughout any part of your career in your music, where you had a mentor that helped you with a couple of tips or some guidance? Or maybe have you served as a mentor to someone who has maybe reached out for you for some guidance or tips or anything like that?
Right. So in my journey, I could honestly say that there were people that I looked up to in the different seasons of my life. And I think that those people came into my life in those times where I needed to learn from them. So I could honestly say for a long time, my parents were my mentors because they were musical and they just wanted to plug me into spaces that, helped me to grow. And then I could honestly say that after university, Mr. James Bassingthwaighte, who was my boss at the time, he really he taught me a lot in the music directing space. Um, and even to this day, our relationship is still alive and it's doing well. And I'm so grateful because he believed in me, and he definitely like saw beyond. I don't know, like I think as far as my admin side is concerned, because I started as an administrator and music production coordinator, and I was just like, I'm interested in music directing, and I've learned a bit of production, so I want to grow in that. And he was like, okay, Taps, let's go, let's do this thing. And I mean, I remember the first event that I got to music direct was actually the summers. Right.
What?
I know. I
Yeah.
know, I know.
Wow.
Talk about deep end stuff. So this was like, if I could share the story quickly, this was in
Yeah.
2013. And I didn't have to do too much. He actually helped me to prepare and he was also there. It was because for the summers at the time they had the broadcast show and they also had the non-broadcast show where they had other awards that were presented. So I then MD'd the non-broadcast part of the show,
Yeah.
um, and and that was so much fun. But whenever I felt like I was stuck or I needed their help, he would come through and and help me out. So that was the beginning for me. It was, I mean, a
Yeah.
big enough, a huge show to start with. But ever
Yeah.
since then he plugged me into doing a bit of DJing and that was fun, working with musicians and so forth. That was really amazing. And then I could say that after that, like, I mean, I've always been in the church. And so I've had my church leaders who've also walked the journey with me. There was Anne Carter Palace, there was Lyndon Peterson, Janine Price, Lionel Peterson. So there are a couple of people that, I've looked up to over the years. And then recently, I've worked with a gentleman by the name of Llewellyn George, who is also a music producer for my album. And because he's he was a child prodigy,
Yeah.
and he's been doing this music thing since he was like really young, and formally, like my formal studies started in university. He's been doing it since he was young, and so I think working with him allowed me an opportunity to also kind of zone in on just being a little bit more focused in how I approach my music. So I could see that relationship also as a bit of a mentorship, because even without having a formal conversation, saying, "Can you be my mentor?" I have
Yeah.
learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot from him just being who he is. Then I could ask him questions and just, just peel a little bit under the skin, just to say, dude, so how do you do this? So how do you do that? And what do you think about this? And, have random questions that I could ask, and he answers them. And it just gives me a lot more insight on the music thing, and like generally how musicians think. And I enjoy that. So yeah, those are the people that I've looked up to over the years.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
have you shared the stage with any of the people, like some of the people that you used to look up to, and you're like, oh my word, this is such an iconic moment. Do you ever shared the stage with people like that? And are there still some musicians and artists that you would love to still meet and share the stage with?
Ah, yes. So in my time at The Voice in 2017, um, Lyra invited me to perform with her at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Uh,
Yes.
that
Wow.
was amazing. That was so amazing. And I absolutely like, she's also one that I really look up to. Uh, I appreciate how confident she is and how she shows up. She's just a beautiful person, and so yeah, she basically she gave me that opportunity to perform on stage. I performed with Karen Zoid. I used to be her backing vocalist way back in 2009, and that
Yeah.
was absolutely amazing for me to also kind of, I mean, I guess, be on the show with her, have her coach me on the show. Um, I remember also, I may have not shared a stage with him, but Oliver Mtukudzi in, I think it was 2015, I got to 2016, somewhere there. I got to work with him for a show called Coke Studio. And there I got to rehearse with him and musicians, and they were writing new music and getting to perform it. And that for me was quite a special experience
Yeah.
because he's a legend. Um, I got to work with Hugh Masekela as well, even though that was also a music directing space. We're in Nigeria doing a show there. That was quite special for me as well, also legendary. Yvonne
Yes.
Chaka Chaka. I got to MD her 30, I think it was the 30th celebration of, her life in the music industry. And I
Wow.
got to have like one-on-one conversations with her, which is really, really special also.
Yes.
So I think for me, it was on and off stage
Yes.
experiences that I had that were really amazing, that I'm really grateful for. But there are artists like international artists like oh, I'd love to work with Liz Wright. She's a beautiful singer,
Ye-
um, jazz soul artist. I'd love to work with Layla Hathaway. Um, I'd love to. There's a few, and some I just want to sit and watch.
Yeah.
live. I just want to sit in a room and just watch them do their thing. I would really love to meet Quincy Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that experience would be an education and a half,
Yeah.
it would be like a school, um, a masterclass. Yeah, I think he's amazing. And so those are the people that I'd love to work with. I think I'd also love to work with, or even meet Themba Mkhize. He's also a legend in our country, a beautiful musician. Um, yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Yeah.
But there's also like the younger artists who are doing so well for themselves right now, um, like Zoe Mudicha, Manana, there's Spam Lalose, there's Titi, there's Zasha. All those people, I love them. And, wherever the opportunity comes up to actually work with them, I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in your experience, could you give me three things that you've seen that can definitely, or that you know of, that can definitely ruin your career as a musician? Maybe something that can ruin the throat, or also how you act or carry yourself. And also three things that you've learned that musicians should definitely take that and remember these keywords or this kind of information that will help them in their career, become a better musician. So three bad ones and three.
Okay. I'm going to start here. For all musicians, I've got it right here, so I'm glad that this book
Yes,
right
sir.
here,
Yeah.
it's called
Okay.
The
Okay.
South African Music Business by Jonathan Shaw. It has all kinds of information that I believe musicians need to learn about the music business. I'm also still learning. I got that in varsity, and I find myself going back to check it out and see what else can I learn, what else can I pick up. Certain things I have to call a friend and say, okay, so how does this work, and da da da. But that book gives you the
Yeah.
lowdown on a lot, a
Yeah.
lot about the music business. So please, if you can get yourself this book, get yourself a book, or at least find something online that is music business related. That's the first thing. So that you don't get cheated or, robbed of your royalties, your money, your stuff. And then the second thing I would say, it is so important to be on time.
Mm.
Be on time. Be on
Yeah.
time. I know as creatives we can say, or as African people, we can say African time or fashionably late or whatever. Try your best to be on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. I don't know. Try and pick up on that and see if you can just keep up with that throughout your career. I think I've learned from people that being on time really does make you look good. You know,
Yes.
even yeah, people people love that you respect their time. So that's another thing. I think that I mean for vocalists, ginger tea.
Remedies. Yes, your remedies. Stick to yeah.
Do not stop drinking your remedies. Take care of your instrument, if it's a guitar or it's your voice, or I mean, I guess as vocalists, our instruments are inside our bodies and we use them all the time to speak, um, and to sing. So and to express ourselves. So it's so much more important for us to be more careful with our instruments. And but otherwise, like with other instrumentalists as well, take care of your fingers, drummers, guitarists, people who use their hands to play. Do whatever it is you need to do to make sure that your fingers are taken care of or your bodies are taken care of, because with time, we've seen how people get injured and then they can't use their hands anymore to play their instruments. And if this is your main source of income, then can get a bit tricky. So
Yeah.
yeah, take care of yourself, take care of your instrument. Yeah, and I would say, I mean, I don't know if there are people, I mean, this is really for me something that's really helped me. My faith, my faith. I know that people have different journeys and stuff, and so I'm not trying to kind of recruit people and say, "Yo, this is my faith, follow what I do." You know,
Yeah.
but but I really like my faith has really carried me through. There are times in the industry that are really challenging. It is not
Yeah.
easy. It is
Yes.
not easy. And I know that with social media, we post things that make us look like we're always happy and things are always good and we always have cash in the bank and we always have, you know, time to go for a holiday whenever spontaneously. No, it's not always like that. What you see on social media is not always true. You know, sometimes a photo that we post today is a throwback from last year, you know?
Yeah.
But you don't know, you don't know that the photo was taken in, you know, in December.
When times are good.
Exactly when the money was flowing, when the things were great, you know, and friends were near. So I think that yeah, everybody experiences life, and tough times do come. But I really believe that if you have your faith and you pray and you trust God, at least I know for myself that has really kept me in good stead. Um, yeah, that's what I can say. Mhm.
Real quick, just for interest sake, do you perhaps have some kind of hidden talent or some kind of passion for something like that's not got to do with music? So if like our like, do you sometimes feel like in the past life where you were a chef or you were a skydiving instructor, or is it anything that kind of like catches your passion the same way that music does? You know, you feel like, you know, if music wasn't my life, I'd probably see myself as that or this or anything like that. Is there anything like that that you have that no one
Um,
really knows you?
I don't know if anybody really knows this, but I think that, and if it was a profession, I think I'd be the most amazing hype man. I I would be like, yo,
It
woman,
is.
I am here. And the thing is, like, my friends know it. My friends know that if they need someone to hype them up, I am there. You know, I think
Uh,
I would be a millionaire if I could become a professional hype man, hype woman, I guess.
yeah,
But I'm also, I think I've learned that I'm very good with plants.
that you're very good with.
Plants.
Oh, plants. Okay, okay. Oh, got that green
I
finger.
Yeah, I've got green fingers. I mean, I didn't know this until I moved out and lived on my own.
Mm.
Um, Before that, I didn't care too much. I mean, my mother has green fingers. She loves plants. But while I was at home, because she was around, I think I let the plants die. Like if I had plants, they would die or she would take care of them. But
Yeah.
as soon as I moved out on my own, I got my own plants. They are thriving, and I love that. I'm enjoying my plants a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Honestly, yeah, yeah. It's quite interesting to actually picture you in that field. I mean, your vibe and your energy, and that's kind of they say with plants and that you need to speak to them and also interact with them in the same way. So I think, you know, I don't see that being completely like a way off passion of yours, you know. It goes with your
Right.
vibe. Yeah.
That's where
Um,
that's where all my hype energy is going. It's going to my plants.
yes, yeah. Grow, grow, grow.
You're doing great, man. You're doing
You can do it. Oh, look who's got flowers. Look who's got flowers.
great. Every
Elaine. Uh, listen, Thapelo, I have to like cut this nice and short. I'm having so much fun with you, but I don't want load shedding to catch any of us. So I'm gonna ask you my final question. And for this question, I ask all my guests, and I'm gonna put you in and you have to go on it. You're going to go on a journey with me, right? So I'm putting in my time machine and I'm going to dial it back to another time, but you can be specific with this time, right? But it's a younger version of you, a younger Thapelo that
Mm-hmm.
kind of needed some guidance or needed some advice or whatever. And it's the version, and it's the version of you today, haven't walked the journey that you've walked, learned the lessons and everything that you know. And you have 5 minutes to be with a younger version of yourself. What would you say to her?
I would say, Taps, you are a beautiful, talented, stunning young girl, and your energy is wonderful. And continue with that. People may not fully understand it just yet, and they will get it with time. But the very things that you believe in and that you want to do, your songwriting, your performing, your singing, the fact that you're not you don't sing high, you sing an alto and it's beautiful. Embrace that. You are beautiful and you sound amazing. And one day you're gonna be good. You're gonna be all right. Just keep at it. Don't give up. There's room for you. God created you for a specific reason, and you're gonna have an impact on this world. So keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah.
That's a beautiful message. Wow. I feel like your tone of voice even changed for that message. It sounded so comforting. I wish you were telling me that message. But yeah, such a beautiful message, yeah, honestly. That's honestly a beautiful message. And yeah, no, thank you so much for that. And before I end this off, do you feel like, is there anything that you would love to share that I probably didn't give you the opportunity to cover? Is there anything that you'd like to, or you want to give a shout out to anyone?
Yeah, I want to shout out all the people who are involved in my process. The names that I haven't mentioned on this platform. I really believe that if it weren't for all of you, you know yourselves. If it weren't for all of you, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So I'm very grateful for all of you, musicians, parents, family, friends, all of you. I love you. Thank you. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tubbs. Also, if we want to be part of, if there's anything coming up, that you're busy working on that people can maybe be part of, just for support, could you please drop your social handles and let us know of anything we can look forward to?
All right. So people can follow me on at Thapelo_Lekoane. It's spelled just like that. It just put in an underscore there, right
Yeah, yeah.
there, right there. And then you'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on Instagram, on Twitter, even on TikTok. Your girl's on TikTok.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I put up everything that I'll be doing. So yeah, if people can follow me there, then we can connect. Also, people can DM me. Let's chat if you wanna, talk about anything music related. I do respond to my messages. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tapeli. You've been a lovely guest. I've had fun speaking to you, and I just wish we could have finished the hour, but yeah, load shedding has got us dodging, and working around
Hey,
it.
but we're
So
almost
yeah.
kind of like ducking over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Love your
Yeah.
energy, Tapelo, and all the best with everything else that you are busy with, and everything the best with your music career as well. And I just hope that more followers gravitate to your journey and just be part of it because it's amazing.
I
Cool.
appreciate that. I really appreciate that. People must watch the song as awesome. Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes, yes.
appreciate the support. Hey, hey.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. It's going down. Thank you so much, Tapelo. May you have a lovely evening further, and I'm gonna say good night to you now.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Bye bye. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents, from Tapelo, and I'm signing out before the load shedding hits me in the dark, and that's not cool. I've had to end a few shows actually like that. It's not cool. The people in the States and everywhere else where they're tuning in from this will never understand the struggle that we go through in South Africa. Why? It's 2022. But let me get out of here. So, ladies and gents, if you're not following me just yet on Facebook, you can catch me at Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. That is Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. Instagram, you can catch me at Lunga Tshuka. That is at Lunga Tshuka. For exclusive snippets of the Price of Fame, there's a separate page on Instagram that is the Price of Fame ZA. That's the Price of Fame And for those of you who prefer the audio versions of the podcast, you can catch it on Apple, Spotify, as well as Anchor FM. And Anchor's got this cool feature where you can send us voice notes. I'll let your boy. I want to hear from you guys what you think about the show, what you think about my hair, or just send us a shout out and we'll play it in the show. Interact with us, let me know. Cool. And for the full versions of season 1 and season 2, you can go to my YouTube page. You type in Lunga Tshuka and you'll catch the Price of Fame season 1, season 2, the full extended episodes. When you're there, before you watch it, you like and subscribe, and then you can watch it. And then you can share it afterwards. But for now, I'm out. My name is Lunga Tshuka. I've been your host, and this is The Price of Fame.